it's Crystal from Essentially Tarot. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to start an exciting new series, and this is going to be my Oracle deck collection, video 1, because here we are starting it, right? So anyway, let's jump right in. Please don't mind my nails. I did not redo them. I forgot until just this moment. We're going to start with the very first Oracle deck that I ever purchased. And that is the Earthly Souls and Spirits Oracle by Terry Foss and Sarah Foss Robinson. I bought this deck back before I even knew what an Oracle deck was. I had literally kind of just started dabbling in tarot not long before. And in researching cards, I came across this deck and was like, I don't know what that is, but I need it. It does not come with a little white book. It comes with this big sheet, this kind of fold out, and it talks about the cards. It gives you some spread ideas, and really on the back here, it's a little hard to see. It gives you some keywords for each card. I don't think it's entirely necessary. She even tells you like to try not to use the keywords, to kind of come up with ways to use the cards on your own. These are the backs, which I feel like deserve a little flip through of their own. This is the first edition. This is the original edition. She came out with a second one where the cards were bigger, the artwork was different. There were some that she had switched out for others. But these moon backings are pictures that her daughter took of the moon and then created these backs. So they're beautiful. Like they're really pretty. And they're all different moons. Not all different moons. They're all one moon. But they're all different kind of patterns and moon phases, and I think they're really beautiful. So anyway, here's the front of the cards. As you can see, they have one keyword. Now I've heard people complain because this is one of those decks where the artwork was created prior to the keywords. So it was kind of like a deck that was centered around art that Terry Foss had already done, and then she just assigned keywords to turn it into an Oracle deck. I don't have a problem connecting the words to the pictures because I feel like for some reason these cards just really speak incredibly easily to my intuition. I don't know if it's the style of her art. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is, but I don't have that problem of making those connections. And they change, you know, depending on who I'm reading for or when I'm reading. For instance, this peace card I really love, because you look at this and you're like, peace, well, what is this? What is this? To me, this is almost like a spiritual barrier that's creating peace for her. So maybe it's a case of her not being able to create peace for herself, but there are spirit guides or the divine is helping to keep, ooh, why is that reversed? Keep her in a spiritual, peaceful bubble. Does that make sense? So yeah, I don't know why some of these are reversed. What is going on in here? I don't read these in reversals, so none of them should be reversed. This is another one that I think people have struggled with, is the Goddess card. And you have these two little girls who are more like best friends. But again, I read that as almost like women lifting each other up. Everyone's a goddess, and using your feminine power to empower other women. I don't know. This is my favorite card though. This Faith card is my favorite. But yeah. So this, I like to use this as a clarification deck because it is single words, single keywords. I also like to use this the most though as a parting message for readings. So I'll pull this deck out and you know, more or less assign this card as something to focus on, something to take away. Like at the end of the reading, where should their focus be? And tie that back into the reading, and it works really well for that. It's my favorite. So that is the Earthly Souls and Spirits Oracle by Terry Foss and her daughter Sarah Foss Robinson. The next is one that I think most people have seen in some capacity. It is the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. This is a pretty popular Oracle deck, and for good reason. Here's your little white book that is not so little. It's pretty chunky. And it does give you a variety of messages. So you have, you know, the essential meaning of the card, then you have the oracle message, you have a relationship message, a prosperity message, and then a protection message to use if you're reading reversals or just if it comes up in shadow. And again, these are really popular, but I think for a really good reason. Oops, these are the backs. These are really, really easy to read with. I feel like the book is really well written, but even if you don't want to use the book and you want to just read them intuitively, I feel like they did a really great job of matching the keywords to the pictures and vice versa. I feel like you can get so much out of the pictures that, you know, the book is a great additional feature, but I don't think you need the book in order to get the most out of this deck. Again, it's a pretty popular one, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But the artwork is beautiful. And again, it's just, there's so much to go off of. There's so much to look at. And it's fairly balanced, I would say. I mean, there's nothing too dark and too heavy, but there are cards, again, that are like, hey, you know what? This is what you need to be doing. Like, I know you want to do this, but this is where you need to be paying attention. So it's balanced in that sense that it gives really good advice. And it's one that I think stands alone really well on its own. You could do, you know, 3 card readings with this deck on its own and not need to pair it with a tarot deck if you didn't want to. So that is the Wisdom of the Oracle. Another one that's pretty well known, I think. We have the Oracle of Mystical Moments by, Katrin Wellstein. Katrin, like Catherine, maybe? I'm not sure. But again, this is one that I've seen floating around for a while, and I think people are fairly familiar. Here's your little white book. This one does not have any sort of reading for reversals, but I mean, I don't know. I don't tend to read most Oracle decks with reversals unless it's specifically written into the guidebook. I don't know why that is. I guess it really shouldn't matter, but that's just me. I don't know. I did edge mine to match the backs, and I don't think I did too shabby, right? I got a shadow going on. Hold on. I don't think, oh my gosh, I don't think I did too shabby. It's not too bad. But yeah, these are really beautiful. Oh, my camera keeps thinking that's a person. Stop it. These are really beautiful, really fantastical. These, like, some of them I feel like read intuitively very easily. Some of them not so much. Like, I know people have complained about like Lorelei. Like, what does the keyword Lorelei give you on this card? Not much, just kind of gives you her name. You know, I know from reading with this deck what this card is supposed to represent. And I guess, if, you know, again, if you are really good at tapping into your intuition and really taking a lot out of an image, you could probably read this intuitively. But somebody who maybe isn't so in touch with their intuition might struggle a little bit with some of the cards in this. But it is really, really, really beautiful. Again, really fantastical. That has like this Victorian flair, which I really, really love. I feel like it pairs with a lot of decks really well. Yeah, I don't know. It's just really beautiful. And I think that, again, it's pretty well balanced. There are some heavier concepts in here. There are some more adult themed concepts in here, maybe like talking about, you know, tapping into your sensuality, tapping into your seductive skills and whatnot. You know, not exactly a child friendly subject, but I like that. I feel like a lot of decks don't tackle that. So yeah, so that is the Oracle of Mystical Moments, and again, another popular one, but one that I really truly enjoy. Next, let's look at the Divine Feminine Oracle by Megan Watterson. This one has a really nice box, first of all. This one is one that I gravitated to. It has another nice little chunky book. They give you some, well, they kind of rephrase what's on the card. They tell you who is on the card. They give you the backstory of who she is, what she did. And then they give you a message for when your soul selects her card. They also give you a soul voice meditation and an intention, which again is, I believe, the writing on the card itself. But I was drawn to this deck because I love working with that divine feminine energy. I love tapping into female energy. I love kind of celebrating you know, what it means to be a woman and what we carry with us through our ancestry, through, you know, that link from one female ancestor to another down to myself. I don't know. It's definitely a theme that I've been exploring and kind of playing with over the last year or so maybe. And the artwork in this is really beautiful. And it's nicely diversified as far as, you know, where these women are coming from, you know, what mythology, what religion, what history they're coming from. So I feel like, yes, there are a lot of more Christian influenced women in here, but there's also women from, you know, all over the place. There's women from all different religions. It's not just, you know, here we have Mary Magdalene, but here we have someone who I'm not so familiar with. But again, that's the nice thing with the book. Yeshi Sokyal, maybe? I probably butchered that. That was embarrassing. I shouldn't even try. The nice thing about the book is, again, it tells you like where they come from, what their story is, what messages these women carry to you. So I just thought it was really beautiful. And then you have the cosmic egg, which definitely has kind of that womb energy for me. But yeah, it's a really beautiful deck. It is very heavy on the love. So if you're not someone who connects to those messages that are like, I am love, I encompass love, my actions are moving me towards love, it has a lot of that going on. But if you do utilize the guidebook and you do kind of take in their stories and what they're about, you can kind of read between the lines of those messages and get something that's a little more substantial. So I like it for that reason. It's not for everybody, but I think you can work with it. Okay, next up, this is one of my faves. This is The Angels and Ancestors Oracle by Kyle Gray. Now, this is one, we have another saying inside the box. I'm gonna stop reading the sayings inside the box because I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what I feel like. There's even more on this side. This is like an intention setting ritual, if you will. Here is your little white book. And this deck, I believe, is split up into like different categories, if I'm not mistaken. So you have the sacred ones, the guardians and messengers, the warrior symbols, and the seasons. This is a deck that I have been using for ancestral work. I feel like it works really well with the tarot decks that I use for ancestral work. I feel like, I don't know, I just get some really, really beautiful, this deck paired up with a couple of other tarot decks. I've got messages that have, you know, choked me up and kind of brought me to tears and told me, you know, exactly what I needed to hear most. But here you can see, like, here's summer, autumn, eagle. So, and then you have medicine guardian, and he's clearly an angel of sorts. But yeah, I don't know, this deck knows what I need to hear, and for ancestral work and tapping into that ancestral voice. I don't know, it's just perfect. I really enjoy it. So yeah, another one that's not unusual. I've seen it pop up time and time again. It's not anything crazy or outlandish, but it works so well for what I need it to do, and it works again so nicely with the decks that I like to pull out for that ancestral work, whether it be you know, sometimes I like to use the mother piece for ancestral work. I really enjoy actually using the Wildwood Tarot for ancestral work as well, which I didn't foresee that being a thing when I got it, but I like to pair these with that. And yeah, I don't know, it's just, this is like my go-to ancestral work. This, and I have another one. Actually, maybe I'll pull that one out next. Let me see where that is. Okay. This is my other, and oops, upside down, oracle deck that I like to use for ancestral work. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle by Roberto Villoldo, Colette Barron-Reed, and Marcelo Lobos. There's a lot of L's there. Oh, and the illustrations are by Jenna Della Grottaglia, which I think is someone that, if I'm not mistaken, Colette Barron-Reed kind of pairs up with her a lot for a lot of her decks. Here is your not so little white book, and you have the card, the essence, the invitation, and the medicine for each card, which I think is really nice. And here's the thing with this deck. I got this on a little bit of a whim. I had seen it in passing more than once, and I didn't think I wanted it or needed it. And I came across it, here's the backs. I came across it at again, I feel like this is always my story. I came across it at a really good price, but it's true. And so I scooped it up because I figured, why not? And when people talk about like connecting with the energy of a deck, I don't know if I truly understood that until this Oracle deck. When it came, I ordered it online, it came in the mail, and it came with several other decks. But when I pulled this particular deck out of the box, it was like electricity. It sounds so cheesy, but it was like I could just feel like in the pit of my stomach that something was different about this deck. I don't know. I know how that sounds. I know how that sounds, but it's true. Like the energy of this deck, even before I opened it, just holding it in my hands in the box, I just felt like it was meant to be here. It had things to tell me, and it was just here at the right time. So again, this is another deck that I do like to use for reaching out to ancestors, ancestral readings, you know, that deeper connection to those who have come before me. And yeah, I don't know. It's a really beautiful deck. I really enjoy it. Again, I think it pairs well with the decks that I do use for that work. And I feel like there is very much that, you know, that native energy, that indigenous energy. And I don't know, I really love this. Not recently, but you know, my whole life, we knew that we had ancestry we had Native American ancestry. And within the last couple of years, I was able to finally trace back our roots to our ancestors and their tribe, and the story of, you know, how my bloodline broke off of theirs. And it was something that was always marketed in our family, not marketed, but it was a story that was always told in our family, something like exciting and fun. And we were, you know, we were related to a Cherokee princess, and it turns out she was not Cherokee. She was Chonoke, and her story was actually devastatingly sad. And I just felt so moved by it that I really wanted to get into some more ancestral work and really tap into some of those energies and kind of mend those ancestral wounds. Does that make sense? So those are the decks I like to use for that. Moving on, I'm going to throw one more in here because we are getting close to that 20-minute mark, and I have not been doing well with that. Another really familiar one. This is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Oracle. And another gigantic book upon book upon book. Here's your not so little white book. You have your card, you have some keywords, you have a little write-up, and then down here you have when in balance, some keywords, when out of balance, some keywords, and to bring into balance, some keywords. So I do think it's nice that they give you keywords for both, you know, shadow and light. So if you wanted to read reversals with this, you could. Now, I haven't edged mine yet. I edged my Wild Unknown. I did not edge this one. And I think I didn't edge this one because I was so frustrated. I really, like, look how beautiful that unicorn is. I really wanted to love this so much. I had seen people show it 1,000,001 times, and I loved the artwork. I loved everything about it. And I struggle immensely. You get an elemental sign, you get the name, and that is all that you get. And going into this, just dropped that crocodile. Going into this deck, I thought I knew enough about animals and nature that I could read this intuitively without, sorry guys, dog's barking. But yeah, I thought I knew enough that I could use this and not have a problem with, you know, just the name and the elemental. I thought I could intuitively say, okay, well, you know, what do I know about the phoenix? What do I know about gazelles? Oh, I was wrong. I just have such a hard time connecting with this, and I don't know. I don't know if it's just, you know, I was using it alongside the Wild Unknown because obviously they pair perfectly together. And I don't know if it was because he's so cute. I don't know if it's because I was overwhelmed with the messages that I was getting from the Wild Unknown, because again, I talked about how that deck reads kind of cutting and direct and emotionless for me. So I don't know if that was it. I don't know if that was really throwing me off to the point where like I was just having a hard time connecting to the Oracle deck because I was having a hard time dealing with what the tarot deck was saying. But I don't know how people make this deck work. I'm gonna come back to it and revisit it, but I will be honest, I've only touched it once since then, because to use it as a true Oracle deck, I had a really difficult time with that. And the only time I pulled it out since then was actually for a more medium-based reading, if you will, where I was asking, you know, what animal would be a good indicator of a loved one being nearby. And I had to laugh because I was thinking something a little more local, like a deer or a crow, or, you know, and I got zebra, and I was cracking up because I said to the client I was reading for, I was like, I don't know if that's a personal thing between you guys, that, you know, this person would come to you as a zebra, but yeah. Although it seems to have worked out, because since then she messaged me and said that she has been seeing zebra print as a sign, so that's good. But yeah, so that's that. Not sure what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to have to revisit it. All right, guys, I'm going to call it here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell, like this video, and stay tuned for part 2 of the Oracle deck collection. Bye.